You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward.
By the way, that's, again, perfect response and also an incredibly popular position. Let me tell you something, okay? Mamdani mania has overtaken the world, overtaken the United States of America. But also, the more he reaches new levels of prominence and popularity, the more people get racist and insane about his existence in general. People are pissed off that he was eating with his hands. People are frustrated that, people are mostly just frustrated that he's a brown guy. That's what it is, honestly.
And joining me now is Zohran Mamdani. Mr. Mamdani, welcome to Meet the Press.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. There is so much to discuss. We have to start with your remarkable victory in the primary for mayor. You're 33 years old. As I just said, you started out at close to 0% in the polls, Mr. Mamdani. You came back to topple one of the biggest names in New York politics, Andrew Cuomo. What was the secret to your success? Do you think it was your message? Do you think that voters were voting?
This is good. This is positive. I'm happy that they are directly asking what contributed to his success. Overall, there's a lot of people taking credit over what caused him to win. And these are mostly like the DC consultant class that is running their mouths and claiming that the reason why Zohran won is because it's not because of his policies, but, because he actually was on board with the abundance mindset, or the reason why Zohran won is because he had a joyful campaign or because he did social media. No, those are all, especially social media, played a big role in this. But very obviously, a major part of his victory was his policies and his massive turnout machine. Zohran Mamdani had 50,000 door knockers, dude. Are you kidding me? That's like a percentage of the overall vote. That's significant. That is incredibly significant. Here is me jokingly responding to Donald. You guys met him already. Boringstein is Zohran's cinematographer. He was you probably saw him while we were live streaming. He was in the background also filming. Representative Rua Roman says, it's not just Zohran's videos that won the primary. If you don't have a serious ground operation, you will lose even with the most viral videos. A viral video does not make a movement. His media team is amazing and they deserve all the flowers, and the rest matters. Donald said, going to keep hammering this home. The field operation on our campaign was the greatest since Obama 08, and if adjusted to scale, far and away the most impressive field operation in the 21st century American politics. Ladies and gentlemen, understand something. The person who is saying that is quite literally the person who should be saying, no, it was the videos. I'm the kingmaker. Because he's literally responsible for half of the social media. He's responsible for the cool movies that they shot the entire campaign. And he's the one saying that's not the case. It's not just like the social media or whatever. It unironically is the turnout. It's the turnout machine that they had. And the only reason why the turnout machine was the way it was is because of the policies. You can't have a turnout machine like that without the policies that a ton of people care about.
I think ultimately it was the focus on the fact that we live in the most expensive city in the United States of America. It's also the wealthiest city and the wealthiest country in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 4 New Yorkers are living in poverty. And
bro does not stop. I checked this roughly against the voter file. My firm uses some noise created by birth dates and such, but 2024 G based on age right now, 18 to 24, 176,000. 25 to 29, 237,000. 60 to 64, 238,000. Target early data implies more 18 to 29 Democrats voted in the mayoral primary than the 2024 general. More 18 to 29-year-olds that are registered Democratic Party voters voted in the New York City mayoral primary than they voted in the the general election for the president. That's why I said Zohran Mamdani was able to actually do the Bernie method successfully, because the Bernie method was supposed to be this tremendous turnout of the youth vote, which is hilarious to say 18 to 44 is the youth vote, by the way. but it is because of how old the voters are in general. But up until like 18 to 44 as a demographic, there's a ton of numbers there. There are a ton of people there. They just don't vote. They don't vote because they have nothing to vote for. When you got a candidate that actually resembles the electorate, you have a candidate that actually has policies that the electorate wants, and he is an earnest communicator, this is what happens.
Well, let's talk about your policies, your vision for this city. Here are some of the things you've proposed: free buses, rent stabilized housing, a $30 minimum wage, the creation of city-owned grocery stores. It's a very long list of proposals. So let me ask you, if you were to be elected the next mayor of New York, what would your day one priority be?
The first thing is living up to these promises that I have made, because I've made them because I intend to keep them. And in a city of about 8.5 million people, close to 2.5 million New Yorkers live in rent-stabilized housing. The mayor, through a board called the Rent Guidelines Board, sets whether or not those rents increase or stay the same. The previous mayoral administration froze the rent 3 times. This one, led by Mayor Adams, increased it by 9%.
Yeah, Eric Adams increased the rent when he had every opportunity to freeze it. Now, what's really interesting about this, now that rent freeze is a point of contention, Eric Adams, who is the most cynical charlatan of all time, has turned around and talked about potentially no longer increasing rent as well. I think he just literally released a statement saying, we're just going to do the minimum rent increase this time around, or something like that.
So the first thing that I would do is start to constitute a board that votes in reflection of reality. And the reality I'm speaking of is that the median household income of those tenants is $60,000 a year. The landlords of those units have seen their profits increase by 12%. It's time for relief for working class New Yorkers.
Okay, well, of course, the big question is, how are you going to pay for it? You've proposed increasing taxes on wealthier New Yorkers. The Democratic governor, though, of your state, Kathy Hochul, says she's not going to support increasing taxes in order to get it across the finish line. I want to let you take a listen to a little bit of what she had to say recently and respond on the other side. Here she is.
I'm not raising taxes on people at a time when affordability is the big issue. I'm actually cutting middle class taxes.
Even on the wealthy.
I don't want to lose any more people to go to Palm Beach. We've lost.
Oh my God, dude. Come on. Have some backbone. Have some god backbone, dude. Of course, she doesn't. She does not.
How are you going to raise taxes if you can't get Democrats to support it?
So I think what we've shown over the last 8 months is our ability to take that which is considered a non-starter and make it seem inevitable. We've shown that with this campaign, and ultimately we're...
Once again, here are the takes that you can fucking immediately deploy here. This is the only aspect of his policies on his campaign that requires Albany to play ball, okay? Having said that, however, this has been a tremendously successful ballot measure in a state like Massachusetts, in Boston. It's been spearheaded by Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston, and this was a ballot measure that passed a millionaire's tax directly. It was a ballot measure that passed in the state of Massachusetts. So this is a profoundly popular provision in blue states that will yield billions of dollars into the state coffers so that we can fund some of these initiatives that are helpful, that will clean up the streets of New York, that will make New York a more livable place. Yeah, in Massachusetts, the tax increase for the millionaire's tax was 4%. Zohran wants half of that, 2%. And this was a profoundly popular policy in Massachusetts. Do you understand? So he can literally point to another comparable state and another comparable city as far as the mobilization behind this policy.
We're seeing that our vision to tax the top 1% of New Yorkers, these are New Yorkers who make $1 million a year or more, and our proposal is to just tax them by 2% additional, is something that has broad support and will continue to increase that support over the next few months and years.
So you think you're going to be able to twist Governor Hochul's arm and get her to support raising taxes? I mean, what about the fact that she says she's concerned New Yorkers might leave? They might go to Florida.
I think it's time for a leadership that doesn't twist arms, but rather builds partnership. And I'm looking forward to having that with the governor, because ultimately my policies, my vision, it's driven by an assessment of what's actually happening. The Fiscal Policy Institute found that the top 1% of New Yorkers leave at 1/4 the rate of other income groups. And when they do leave, I'll give you an example. When we talk about grocery stores, I've put forward a proposal for a pilot of one grocery store in each borough. These are 5 grocery stores that would cost $60 million in a city budget of more than $113 billion. And ultimately, The reason that we are so excited by them is we've seen that they've worked in Kansas. We've seen that when a feasibility study was done in Chicago, it was shown to be something that was not only feasible, but pressing and urgent in an urban setting. And finally, it costs less than half of what the city's already set to spend on subsidizing corporate supermarkets without any guarantee of cheaper prices, any guarantee of collective bargaining agreements, or that they accept SNAP or WIC.
Well, you take me to my next question about grocery stores. Some executives, including one of the top grocery stores owners, Billionaires, threatening to shut down his supermarket in the
Great. That's amazing. That means the city can take over these grocery store chains that I guess are about to close down. Go ahead, make my day. You know what I mean? We'll take it.
the city. John Castamatidis, who runs Gristedes grocery chain, you're probably very familiar with him. He said this on election day, quote, "If the city of New York is going socialist, I will definitely close or sell or move or franchise the Gristedes locations." In order to run New York City successfully as mayor, do you not need the support of a billionaire businessman like John Castamatidis?
I don't know if I need his support specifically.
I actually haven't figured out why they, not to give him more talking points, but the real talking point that they should be slamming is that market competition will eviscerate. State-run grocery stores would create market competition that is impossible to contend with and eviscerate mom and pop shops. That's the real meta. That's what they should be saying, okay? Not to give the billionaire psychopaths more talking points, but that is unironically what they should be saying at a time when there's unprecedented competition coming from monopolists like Amazon. We're already having a hard time dealing with we're already having a hard time keeping these grocery stores open. And then this guy wants to create additional pressure to lower wages and lower prices. But even if we were to be able to carry on with our business, the mom and pop shops will definitely close down. Something like that.
But I want to make clear that my vision for this city is a vision for every single New Yorker, including business leaders across the city. And the reason I say that is that my proposals, even the ones to increase the top corporate tax rate of New York to match that of New Jersey, are ones that would also benefit those business leaders. Because when I have...
All right, you are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward.
By the way, that's, again, perfect response and also an incredibly popular position. Let me tell you something, okay? Americans have surf mindset. They think like, oh, one day I'll be a billionaire. One day I'll be a millionaire, they say, right? But even Americans who are like, one day I'll be super rich, even they kind of understand that like this billionaire gotten out of control. This doesn't mean that you're gonna, make a new system where there's no billionaires. It's not gonna happen. China has billionaires, okay? As a matter of fact, more billionaires than we do. So I think saying yes to that isn't necessarily a bad thing at all. Nobody likes billionaires. Everybody understands that they contribute to tremendous income and wealth disparity in this country. Oh yeah, this was funny. I saw this. Dudes who make $32K a year reading this. Zohran Mamdani, I don't think that we should have billionaires. We need billionaires. Every blue check mark. Every dude who makes $32K a year saw that statement and fell to their knees at Walmart, where they work, actually.